Hello, Andrew Whitfield here from How to Sell Online Limited, and welcome to week 1, the introduction to eBay of the 8-week online course on how to sell on eBay. My name's Andrew Whitfield, and what we're going to do first of all is look at opening and getting started with eBay. So the first thing you need to do, if you haven't already, is to make sure that you have an account registered with eBay. So to start with, you will put in your name and your email address, and along with a password. Now please make sure that your password is a good, solid, strong password, as you don't want anybody trying to take over your account and hack into it in any way, shape or form. Please don't do the standard things that some people think will be okay, using PASSW0RD or P455 word, something along those lines, because the hackers know about those, and those are the first ones they try successfully. Once you've done that, look at your terms and agreements and make sure that you're happy with all of those by clicking on the links, and then go to submit. If you are starting your account straight away from a business point of view, then go and register it as a business and put your business name into the registration box. The tip here on the business side of it is quite simple. If you are registering as a business at the very beginning, it is easier to do so now than wait for eBay to ask you to change your account into a business account and have them chasing you to do it. Because if you don't do it and you just stay as a basic domestic account where you're just selling your stuff, which is the way to go if that's all you're going to do, they will ask you several times, and if you don't comply and change it, they will take your account away from you and close it. Now, to register your business as a business account, what you need to do is complete the following details that are here. Now, your business name. This is fairly crucial. You want your business name, your website name, your Amazon store name, your name on any other trading platform to be the same or as near to the same as possible. Your shop name on eBay will also be the same as your business name. Don't forget, these are all keywords, so if people are looking for you, your business name needs to be keyword rich. Now, we've already covered a few bits and pieces on keywords in the introduction videos, so you need to go and look and decide what keywords you are going to use to make your business found. After that, fairly straightforward, so I've pre-populated this with the basics. So how to sell online books would be the account that I would use. Retailer, and again you can be a manufacturer, wholesaler, whatever, so let's just leave it as retailer. And then personal details. As you can see, I've already got the account here registered with eBay, so it's not going to actually allow me to go to the next stage at this point, but it's going to ask me to agree and accept all of the terms and conditions, and then you would press continue once you'd clicked on the link for the user agreement and the privacy policy. Okay, so here we are. We're going into the site that I've just recently set up as the book on how to sell online. So we'll continue, and this is going to take me to this area here. Let's have a quick look. We're going to be selling some items, so we'll come back to selling in a moment, but let's just click into these buttons here. So as you can see, these are going to be helpful, useful pages for you when you first log in to actually find out what eBay will do. This is somewhere where I'm not going to go into too much detail. I just want you to see what you've got available, and you can see that everything there is there to help you. It is all there for you. It's quite easy to follow. Now, you don't need to know all of this information from an in-depth point of view. What you need to know is that it is here for you to actually find out more things about eBay as you need to. So here is your default page. Now for me, I would be going into my account tab, and I would be first of all changing my preferences. So what am I looking at? I've got personal information. So I need to make sure all my personal information is up to date. Personal account, user ID, password, secret question, your About Me page. Now your About Me page you need to edit, and you want to put some secondary keywords into your About Me page because they will help your site to be found on the search ranking. Okay, here we are in the About Me page, so you'd want to go and do a little bit of editing. So this is just going to tell the customer something about you. Now I would suggest, unless you are a HTML coder or you understand HTML code, you just use the step-by-step process. And there you are. I've already pre-populated some of it. So page titles, how to sell online, and then a paragraph in here which will say a little bit about the business and about you and what it is that you're doing, and again a little bit in here. But again, use some secondary keywords in there. How to sell online, those are keywords. Online retailing, those are keywords. Online retail businesses, those have got some keywords in there. A lot of information goes there. And again, you can put a picture in there, so relevant picture, and you can put a couple of those, and show feedback you've received. Or probably at the beginning you want the 10 most recent comments, not the 100, otherwise it's going to look a little bit light. Label your listings. That's only going to be there if you're going to be listing and relisting similar items. You might want to create labels. Here you've got the number of lines you want to show, so I would go for about 50, but again, if you're only listing a few, you only need the basic one. And then you can put some other information in here, so links. So I would link back to my website, h2so.org. It may be internal eBay pages once you've got up and running, so you'll put the HTTP addresses in there. There's more about creating an About Me page. You can go to the tips and the guidelines. They will give you more information. Anything obviously with a hyperlink, a blue line on it, will actually link you to a guide of some description. Here we are again, adding pictures. If you're using it via the web, you would put in the link in there to actually download your pictures from a website. So you can use the basic service or the web service for putting pictures on. That gets you started, and then you just press continue, and then you're going to choose your layout. Layout A, B or C. 3 to choose from, whichever you want to go for. And for the purposes of what I'm doing here, I am just sticking with layout A. Okay, so that is one of the first things done, the About You page. Now when you're writing the About You page, write things that are going to be relevant to the types of products you're going to be selling. They don't want to know what you had for tea last night and that you're single, married, divorced, with children, without children, etc., etc. What they're looking at here is something about you, but make it relevant to your business or relevant to the reasons that you're selling, with some keywords in there, so that it just helps drive people through to the website. Back to the My eBay page, and if I go back into the accounts, I'm then going to be asked to look for addresses. So registration address, well, that's the office address here. Primary postage address, that's the address here. Now I might want to change or put other addresses in there, but at this stage I'm quite happy leaving it at that. Communication preferences. So in our communication preferences, you're going to have a look at everything there. If you just go show all, so you can look at here and see these are how emails are coming to you. And this is where, if you want separate email addresses, you can put in the details of the other email address that you want to go in, and then it will ask you for your different email address, from, and receive messages at. So you can go in and change that however you want to make that work for you. If you're into instant messages, then obviously you can go down that route as well. When you are selling, if you are selling in auction and you have more than one item, you can send the other bidders who didn't win the item something called a second chance offer. Now all of these are preset. Now at this stage I would just say leave everything as it is, unless you are going to get really heavily involved in changing everything over a longer period of time. The key thing here is if you want to change any of the email addresses so that you can receive messages at a different email address, or you want to send messages from a different email address to the one that you've got as a registered address. And then we're going to go into the site preferences, and again I'll hit show all. Now where we are at the moment, all these types of things, the chances are you're only going to do this once, and very occasionally you may need to go in and change something. Your site preferences is where you're going to make any major changes. At this stage I would tend to suggest you leave everything as it is, unless there is something that you really want to change. But in all fairness, these are pretty much preset for you, and you don't really need to do a great deal to actually change anything. This is where of course you will create any additional policies you want over and above those policies of the eBay platform. So you may want to create a payment policy. So here you will put in your name, the policy description that you're setting out, set it as your default, and then obviously look and see, well, you're going to accept PayPal, what address the money is going to. You can tick require immediate payment when a buyer uses the buy it now. Personally, I don't tick that one because sometimes people do not have quite enough in their account, so they might take a day or two to pay. I tend to leave that one unticked, and we tend to take payments sometimes 2-3 days or even a week after the sale has been agreed. And whether you want to take any of these other options and any instructions that you want to put into the payment scenario, which may be if you're sending a check, please make it payable to and send it to this address. So there's a few things that you can do in there. And then obviously if you want to, you can then change your returns policy. If you've got items that are going into auction, you might have a blanket policy where you do not accept returns, and you'll only be able to do that on auction items which are not buy it now, because a buy it now falls by default into the distance selling regulations as long as it is a consumer purchase rather than a business to business purchase. And any policy description that you want to put in there, which will be publicly available, you can put in, and obviously you can set that one as your default. And again, in the policy listings, you can then go to postage and create a postage policy and description. You can set it as default, and it may be that you go free post on everything and offer other additional services. And once you've got your domestic postage rate sorted, then you're fine to go. Obviously, if your products are going to be multiple variations in size and shape and weight, you may not want to set yourself a default system up. You may just want to leave it totally blank so that you can do it item by item, but you have the choice, and that's what it's about at this stage. So let's go back to the main part of the menu again, and you would be then looking at feedback. Well, feedback at this stage, you haven't got any items in, and you are able to look at automating feedback once you move further on into a business account. Sorry, once you move further on into a shop account, I should say, and you start getting regular feedback, so you can automate it. Then of course the next one is going to be PayPal. Now you need to link your account. If you do not have a PayPal account, then you will go and sign up here, and that will take you directly through to PayPal. And this is where it reflects on what I said earlier. Make sure your email address that you're going to use to link to PayPal is going to be the same as the main email address you're using for eBay. And that way it dovetails in. So you'd put that in there, you'd put all your information, and you would agree and sign up. What PayPal does is it sends an authorization payment into your account. It will normally send 2 payments, and it does it live whilst you're creating your PayPal account. It'll do it real time for you. So all you've got to do is, if you've got online banking, open up your online banking page, go in, retrieve the references, put them in the boxes that are required, then hit your submit button, and your PayPal account will be created and authorized and linked to your bank account. Now do remember, when you're linking a PayPal account to one of your bank accounts, money will go into that account, and also they will use that as money to come out of that account to pay any PayPal fees or refunds that may be required. Or if you're purchasing something and you didn't have enough money in your PayPal account, it would go to that account, to that bank account, to pick that money up and to take it out as a direct debit. If you've already got a PayPal account, then that's fine. You will just follow the process here, and you will link your existing PayPal account with the current account that you've got now, which is what I've done in my particular case. So that is all fairly straightforward. Once you've done all of these steps here, as I said before, you don't have to do them again. So it is an initial part of the process. Just work your way through them, go through them stage by stage, click the help buttons, watch the replay of the video, or drop me an email if you get stuck with something. Then of course you can look at the donation account. So if you're setting something up where you're going to be putting some of the money to a good cause, to a charity, this is a really good idea, purely because it helps you grow up the search pages and up the rankings. You can select here from the various good causes. There are 1 or 2 really good sellers that utilize this feature, and I've utilized it myself. What you do is you look at the product that you're selling. If you're going to make a donation to the charity from every sale, then obviously you are going to be pushed higher in the rankings. Helping charities actually within eBay helps push you up in the seller rankings, and every item that you sell will have a little note on it to say you're donating a portion of the sale proceeds through to the charity. Obviously you're going to decide whether it's 10%, whether it's 100%, 20%, 15%. You choose how much you are prepared to put to the charity. Now then, if you have a product that is unique to yourself, you might want to add 10% to that product in a cost, and you might decide that that 10% is going to go to the good cause. That means that you are helping a charity, but you're also helping your business by putting some of the money in, by putting some of the turnover that you're creating back into good causes. Don't dismiss giving money through eBay and PayPal back to one of the charities. And there are more charities. Those are the featured charities. Obviously there is a lot more of them, and you can go and find your charity, your good cause, within the page here. Think about it, and think about putting some money onto your product to drive your product higher, so that you're giving a good cause some income. So by adding 10% to your selling price, then you're doing some really good work for the charity, and you're also raising your profile within the shop. I've done it. I've donated to charity with a lot of stuff that we've sold in the past, so I know it works. It's tried and tested, and it is a really good feeling to know that you're giving back to a good cause as well. Now there's a couple of subscriptions that you can look at as well. So whether you want file exchange, once you've got past the initial listing and you're an eBay shop, then obviously you can move to one of the basic shops, featured shop or anchor shop. We'll be talking about that in more detail later on. Then you can look at eBay Selling Manager, and you can look at sales reports. And again, all of these areas here, these will be for future weeks, so that you can actually decide whether you need to have those as part of your portfolio of items within the eBay account. And then Resolution Center, well, quite simple. If somebody has a problem, they can take it to eBay, they can create what they call a case, and they can come back to you to resolve it. We'll be dealing with dispute and dispute resolution further along in the 8-week course. That is almost an hour session on its own, in all fairness. So at this stage, what we need to be doing now is looking at setting up your My eBay account to actually create a dashboard. Let's start putting some items on and let's start selling them. So I'm going to go through stage by stage creating your first listing. So we'll go to sell an item, tell us what you're selling. So here we are at this stage of using eBay. We're using it at the basic step-by-step listing. So this will be how you will do it at the beginning. What I will be doing then is switching to the advanced tool, but let me do a listing like this first of all for you. So in this example, I'm going to put in a book. Okay, so we've hit book and it is now searching for the categories for me. Now here I've got 3 categories that eBay has selected from the one word I've put in there. So wholesale job lots, books, comics and books, and antiquarium and collectible. So I would tick books here at this point, and then it will let me create my listing, or it will allow me to select another category. Now it can be useful selling things in 2 categories. However, if you do select a second category, you will have additional charges. So the first thing we've got to do is give the item a title. So again, you already know from what you've heard before, the title needs to be keyword rich. This one is going to be the book on how to sell on eBay. Now I capitalize every word before I put it on. It doesn't mean that you need to do that on every listing. I believe that by capitalizing it, it helps in the search engines. It is a commonly held belief that it does. I have no scientific way of proving it, although some internet marketers will tell you that it does. Well, it doesn't like the way I've spelt eBay, and it should actually be spelt that way as in the company name. So the book on how to sell on eBay, and then I'm going to use some other keywords: selling online, sell my stuff. Now you may think sell my stuff isn't a keyword rich format, but I've done the research on here, and actually sell my stuff, those 3 words are very, very heavily sourced for people that want to sell online. So I'm using some things in here that will actually help drive the book forward. I've done how to because those are all keywords as well. And here I've got a little bit of space at the end, so I'm going to use some other keywords at this point which are secondary. So and then we'll have websites as well. So I've virtually used up all of my characters. So what I've got in there is a lot of keywords that will interact. So somebody might search how to sell on eBay. They might search how to sell online, how to sell my stuff online, how to sell my stuff on eBay, how to sell my stuff on websites, how to sell on eBay, web shops, selling stuff through web shops. So I've got lots of different combinations in those keyword strings, and I haven't duplicated too much on the keywords, so I haven't got how to in there twice. What you will find, a number of people will put the same word in several times. That's called keyword stuffing or keyword spamming. That isn't really liked by the websites. Now you can put in the keyword a couple of times. That is absolutely fine if you need to create some space, or it may be how to sell on eBay and selling my stuff on eBay are 2 good phrases, so you may want to put those 2 in as complete phrases. So when you're doing your keyword research, and again we go into keywords as you know a little bit later on in the course, you will start to get to see how you need to create your title, because it's this title bar that's going to get you the sale. So now they want us to add some photographs, so I will go and find a couple of photographs for you. So you'll go into your folder. Okay, so there's my book on how to sell on eBay. That has already gone up there, and obviously it's a new book, so it's going to be highlighted as condition new. Add item specific, so this is where you will go and have a look and say, right, okay, is it an audio book, an ordinary book, textbooks, non-fiction books, whatever it comes through as, and first editions, or it may be a signed copy. In fact, let's make that a signed copy. Number of items, well, let's say I've got 100 of those for argument's sake. Don't forget, when you first start selling on eBay, you will be restricted to the number of items that you can sell, or the value that you can use, until you've got some history behind you, and then they will keep increasing the limits. So in that case, I'm going to drop this to 10, because this one is a brand new account and I haven't linked it to my other accounts. Okay, now here is the details page. So on this, you would want to put your book data in. Now you can either paste some information in that you've already taken from your Word document, such as this, or you can create a brand new Word document and you can make it look a little bit different. So we've got a Word document here, and let's just make that fill the page, and let's say I'm putting the text in here. So what I might want to do here is make this perhaps slightly bigger. So let's say I'm going to make this text become Calibra, and let's say we're going to have it at 18, and I may also want to change the page layout to web layout. So there we go, so I can actually start to see what it's going to look like. Now here I might want to put a bit of a title, so we might have fantastic purchase. Now you're selling something, so whilst you're selling something, make it look as if you want people to look at it. You might want to change the color, so let's say you're going to have it a dark color there. You might want to make it bold, and you may want to center it, and I tend to do all this type of thing in the Word document. And let's have a look, let's make that slightly bigger, so we'll put that there, and here it's going to be the book on how to sell on eBay. So there we go, and you might want to put speech marks around it for this particular part of the text. And as I said, I tend to do all this in Word, and I might make that title slightly bigger again, so I might put that at 36, so that's just slightly bigger, makes it look a little bit more interesting and eye-catching. So here we've got the body of the text that we're looking at, and I might want to shape that up a little bit. So let's have a look. Right, let's go to there, shall we say, and here I might want to turn the bullet points and line them up a little bit. So as you can see from this, I've tweaked it and changed it a little bit so that it looks a little bit more user friendly, and I might change that color there. I might make the bullet points bold. There's lots of things that I can do and change it however I need to. So then I'm just going to copy all of this off the Word document. I would probably save the Word document, and let's just delete that out of there. And it's now being put in the format that I want from the Word document. Now you can do some of this within eBay, and you can obviously switch to HTML. So if I was going to put in a video at this point. Let's just say I wanted to put a video in here, and we'll come on to loading video at another time. But there we are. I would be able to see where all those X's are here, so if you already know how to put video in, you would be able to drop your video in as HTML code there. If you don't know how to put video in at this stage, do not worry about it. That is part of what we are covering, and it really is easy once you know how. So let's take those X's from there, and there we are. We have the start of our listing. So we'll just go to next. Now that we've come to the listing page, it's going to ask us to enter a starting price. Now here we're listing under the auction conditions, so if I was to start listing at auction, I might start at 99 pence, and I would select 3, 5, 7 or 10 days. 10 days being the maximum amount of time you can have in an auction. Now there's a top tip here, and remember this, and I'm sure I'm going to repeat it time and time again. Whenever you're listing in auction, try and do 10 days and try and list it so that it starts on a Thursday or Friday, so that you get 2 weekends before your end time, and make sure your end time is in the evening that is relevant. So if it's kids stuff, you might want it to be early evening on a Sunday. If it's adult stuff, you might want it to be after 10 o'clock on a Monday or a Tuesday. So if I wanted it to start on a Thursday, so it was finishing on a Monday, I would pick Thursday and I would go and select the time. Let's say I want it to finish at 9:15 for argument's sake, and I want a 10-day listing. There we are. That will now start for me on the Thursday. It will start at 9:15. It means I get 2 weekends, the peak periods, Sunday, Monday. I get 2 of those where people are able to find them, and obviously the whole of the week. So that is a perfect time to look at start listings. Obviously look and see what product you're selling. Here I can go fixed price. Now on this particular item I would want it to be fixed price. So I'd enter my price, £27. Do I want to allow buyers to send best offers? Not really. It's a fixed price. If I want to, I can do that, and I can leave that in. I'll leave it in for now just for the purposes of here. So 3, 5, 7, 10, 30 days. When you move up to a business and to a shop status, you will be able to go till good till cancelled, which means every 30 days it trips over and it relists automatically. And if you've got a large quantity, it will keep tripping over and it will keep relisting automatically. You are able to go to 30 days, and obviously you're able to select your start time, and it'll tell you up here how much your listing fee is at this stage. Now don't forget, this is just a very basic listing tool at the moment, and we are on a new account. So we've selected all of that, and we'll go next. Now at this point, when you've come through to the select postage option stage, eBay will default to give you an initial option that you can choose. Here they've worked it out that that would probably be a medium parcel, less than 1 kilo, and it would be £5.65 to go by Royal Mail first class, paid to the buyer. I would actually prefer to create my own postage option. So my own postage option is going to be Royal Mail second class, and I will offer that as free post. I'm then going to add another option, and that is going to be guaranteed next day delivery. So we'll go Royal Mail special delivery, and I'm going to put that at £6.99. I'm also going to offer local pickup. Now what I've done here is I've created a free post version. Now free post actually helps me go up to the search rankings, so I'm able to drive my book higher up the rankings, and if somebody is wanting it next day, they can pay the additional postage to do that by special delivery, which would probably be about £7 or £8 because it would be over 500 grams. Royal Mail second class, obviously in my selling price of £27, I've already worked out what my postage is going to be, so second class delivery would probably be about £2. I might want to add international postage, and let's say I'm going to go, let's go worldwide, and Royal Mail airmail small packets, and we'll put that in at £9.99. So you would go in, and at the very beginning you would be looking to see how you were going to list your item. You'd have worked out your postage, you should have found out how much it's going to cost, you would have done your due diligence on that. So here we have the review page ready to list it. If you want to change anything, you can go and click into edit. So let's go into edit here, because I actually listed it as an auction and I want to list it as fixed price. So let's change that. How easy was that? Go in there, £27, and that says allows buyers to send their best offers. This has been ticked so buyers can obviously send me an offer. On this, I don't want them to send me an offer because I want to sell it at that price and that price only. I could change my 30 days to a lower amount if I wanted to, and if I wanted to I could change my start time and schedule it, so I will do that, and I will change that to 1 day ahead, and then that's done. So I can change anything that I want to in this particular part. All the details are there, the title is there, the condition, everything I've put in, my picture's there. I could add more photographs if I wanted to, so I might add photographs which actually show some of the text inside. Let's go list the item. Now it may do this to you, it does ask you to re-sign in occasionally, and that is purely if you've taken quite a long time. So here you are, now we are at the My eBay page, and you can see that I have one scheduled item ready to list, and you can also see that my page has changed here. I now have the more advanced tab because I've got an item listed. You won't get this until you have an item listed. So now I can click on this link, and this is scheduled, and you can see that it is all ready to go. And there we are. The information that I put in is there, how I want it, it's showing it, it's telling you what it is, number of items available, and add to basket, buy it now, add to watch list. The customer can do whatever they want. It's on there, £27, and here I can go revise my item. So if when I'm looking at it I look and I think, oh, I don't like the look of that, I'm not too keen on that for whatever reason, I can go in and change it. And also if I'm listing a similar item, so I might be listing the book on how to sell on eBay, I can just go sell similar, make a few changes that I want to change, and it will give me the opportunity to list a similar item where I've got the categories already selected. I would obviously be changing my photograph, I'd be changing some of the text, so that would all be there ready and put in. So it may be that you're listing something that's red, blue, green, so you've got different variations, although there are other things that you can do in eBay for that as well. So there we are, that is your first listing up and running and done and ready to go. So here we have on my summary page my scheduled listing. So that is getting your first listing onto the system, and you can see I've got the name of my business, How to Sell Online Books. My first listing is here, ready to go live. I can change things if I want to, I can delete things, I can add notes, I can add things to lists, I can create all of those, but this is your first listing. So what I need you to do now is go back, go over this, and actually create your first listing. You will go to the sell button, you will go to sell an item, and you will look at this particular step-by-step easy route through. If you want to, you can switch to the advanced tool. Now this will be more suitable for most people. I prefer the advanced tool rather than the easy tool. So let me continue to the advanced tool. This is how the advanced tool looks, and this is how I would prefer to sell something. Okay, so let's look at listing something through this particular section. Now for me, I would far sooner sell through and list through this side of it, because I'm doing it from a business point of view. So let's go back to book, and we're going to sell a book, the book on how to sell on eBay. Sorry, the book on how to sell on Amazon. Now here you see I've got a slightly different setup. I've got more control at this stage of how I list an item, which is why I prefer it. If you're really brand new and you're only going to sell stuff from home and you're only going to do a little bit, the other way of doing it is absolutely fine. Don't change anything. If you're serious and you're turning it into a business, go on to selling using this particular tool here. And for argument's sake here, book, search categories. Now remember that Amazon will throw back to me whatever it thinks I'm looking for based on the information I put here. So it's a little bit like keywords. Here, collection and lots, books, gives me lots of things that I can look at, or I can go to browse categories. So now I can look at things myself and decide where I want to go. Now I always prefer to go in through this route the first time I'm listing something, so I can look and decide that's where I want it. So here we go, we would have the book go in, non-fiction. Now then, where do we want it? So you see the first book we did, it just went books, comics, magazines, non-fiction. That was where we stopped. Here I've got more choice. I can go in and I can go to another level, and depending on which one I choose, I can actually potentially go through to yet a further level. So anything with this little arrow on here means that it will go one level further. So I'm going to put business, economics and industry, and then it's coming up with some more that I can look at. So can you see, by going into this route, you're focusing your book further and further into the category, which means from the point of view of somebody searching for books, if they're searching under finance, you've got far more chance of actually being found than if you go to a slightly higher level where you're just dealing in non-fiction. Non-fiction, there's thousands. You get then to business and economics, and then you move down another one. So let's go sales and marketing. I've created quite an in-depth search position for my book. So I prefer to go and browse the categories, and once you've done that a few times, you will start to get a good feel, so you can use the eBay's own search categories function. At the beginning, go into those depths just so you get a really good grounded understanding. And then we'll move to continue again, and it's going to ask me for an ISBN number. So with all books, you're always going to have an ISBN number. That's what is required. So we'll put mine in here, 1495 351181. Okay, now it's going to search for it. This doesn't actually appear on eBay at the moment under the ISBN title. It will be continue without using the catalogue. At some point I will put it on there. So now we've got the title. Here was my previous title already auto-saved. Book on how to sell on Amazon we need here. Juggle things around a little bit because I need to fit in Amazon and I want a space, so I need to take something out to make all the characters fit. Now one of the things that I tend to do is, if I'm running short of space on this particular line here, and because this is keyword rich, when things are being searched, they're being searched on an alpha basis, so they're looking at the word. So here I can leave website missing the E, I've got a partial keyword there, so I've got website, websit. It'll come up as a partial search. Not brilliant, not the best way of doing it, but unless I take something out, I would have to leave it at that. And if you've got misspells and you've got something that has got a misspelling, then obviously put the misspelling in there as well. It doesn't matter how it looks to the person that is buying it to a great extent, it's what it actually says that matters. If there is a common misspell and it needs to go in there, do that. Most people are aware of misspellings. So again, condition, new, and I need to add a picture. Can you see how this is slightly better than the previous one? So we'll click on the browse button and I will go and find the picture that I want. So this one will be the Amazon one, so we'll upload that, and my picture is in there. And obviously I can upload up to 12 pictures, and you need to have a minimum of one. So we've also got in here more information, so this is putting in more detail. So if we go back to the first way of listing, which is a very basic way of listing, this is giving us more opportunity to actually put data in or keywords in. And if you don't find anything in there, you can enter your own, and sometimes it is good to enter your own words where you may have some really strong keywords that you've identified, so you would possibly put those in as free-flowing text. And again, I can look format, and it's paperback, subject line 2, so I would put in there management. Actually, I'd probably go sales and marketing, I think. So there we are. Language, so that's going to be English. Time period. See, I've got all of those different items here. So 21st century, and if I didn't want 21st century, think that was a bit daft, well, I might be taking it out, and I might do it as a signed copy. So anything else I want to put in there, I would do so here. So let's put signed by the author. That'll do. And we've got our details page again. Now here you've got a few more of the word type links. So a little bit as we did with the eBay book, I would be copying and pasting into here off my Word document, and I'd have a quick look at that, and I think I'd be fairly happy with that. I might just want to move the bullet points in slightly, so that's fine, that sits better. And right, I've now got auction or fixed price again. Now I've got more information again here, because when I'm doing the auction strategy here, I could start at 99 pence if it was going into auction, but if I thought actually I wonder if anybody would buy it straight away, I could put a buy it now price in, and obviously change my duration, and again select my time down further down that I wanted it to be listed. Now one of the tips for you is, if you're going to start at auction and you're going to put a buy it now price in, what you want to do is make that buy it now price realistic, so that somebody sees it and thinks I'll take it now. The minute somebody bids at 99p, the buy it now price will disappear. However, under the distance selling regulations, if you use buy it now, that then means that your return policy kicks in, and they are covered under the distance selling regulations from buy it now. So if you are auctioning something off and you don't want to sell it under the distance selling regulations, legally do not tick buy it now. If it is a second-hand used item, it's got marks, it's damaged, it's not a brand new item, or it's a refurbished item, you can still use buy it now, and then you need to make it very clear in the text, and never do it in small print, this item is used, I'm not offering any guarantees, I'm not offering any warranties, there are no refunds and no returns. And then you need to make sure that you take photographs of every bit of that item and show every dent and scratch and mark that is there, and that way it cannot then go back to a case where they would turn around and said it is materially different from the way it was described. So that is another little tip for you. We're going to sell a brand new item here, and I'm going to be on fixed price, so I will change that. Now here, as before, you saw that we had best offer allowed. Okay, now I've reticked it, and I can now set where on the other one I couldn't. So I put in at £27 on the other way of listing. On this way of listing, I'm putting in £27, and let's say I'm going to accept £19 or above, and if anybody comes in at £18.99 or below, they will get an automatic no. So I can choose how much I'm prepared to take. So if you want to list something at a high price but you want to give people the chance to purchase slightly lower, or offer a deal or make them feel good by letting them come in, you can obviously go down that route. Again, it does work on occasions, and you have to look at your product mix to decide which way you want to go. So again, let's say I've got 10 of those, and my duration would be 30 days. Now, under my other accounts, I would always go good till cancelled, but until you've established some rapport, as it were, with eBay, you're not going to be able to go to good till cancelled. If I wanted to add a charity, I could do that here, and I'm using the default payment policy. So on my postage, on this particular item, I would be quite happy to leave it to my default. So you remember when we started out, I created a default position. So postage policy for one listing, here's my default. Royal Mail second class free P&P, 1 working day, £6.99. So on this particular item, I'd be quite happy to do that. So I would leave that there as it is. If I wanted to edit the postage policy, I could also do that. And again, I can put in here what type of dimensions that are in. Not essential, but you may want to put it in for your own reference. That is fine, and you might want to put weight in there. Up to yourself. This is free flow, that is not mandatory. Again, if I want to select the scenario that we have for postage, I would do that here, and I would create a new postage scenario and create my own new postage price. But I'm quite happy to leave that one as it is. Item location, so it gives you the town and the postcode. The returns policy is the default returns policy, so nothing to change there. So I'm now happy with everything, so here we go. We'll press continue, and we will then go and have this item listed. There we are. It comes up and it'll give me the opportunity to go back in and change anything. I can preview the listing before I go ahead and list it. So let's have a quick look. The book on how to sell on Amazon, sell my stuff, web shop sales website without the E on the end because I've run out of space. The book on how to sell online, so it's all there. So we have put another listing on the system ready to go live. And that's where I want you to be. From this first video of the first week, I want you to be able to go in and list items on eBay yourself without having any problems in doing so. So there we are. This is week 1 of how to sell on eBay, getting your first listings up there, getting your account open. If you've got any questions at this stage, please come back to me via the chat button, and I will pick up with those straight away.